Today we are 3D printing Boba Fett ship from Star Wars. And the links to these files will be in the description below. And they're free if you want to check them out. And the original designer here has done an amazing job. And it's quite complex to put together. However, part of it is snapped together. And it's an enjoyable build, but it is a complex one. So make sure you learn from my mistakes. So we're going to begin by putting our body pieces together, which are these two large bits. And they're quite simple to put together. And honestly, I wouldn't actually use any glue on these first couple of pieces as they go together really, really well. So as you can see here, these two bits come together. The bit that's holding them together actually pushes into each model, so eventually it just disappears. And it snaps together like that. I glued this up, but you do not have to. I think it's actually not necessary, as this bit will get pushed into another bit later that's going to just make it solid. But I went for glue just to be on the safe side. But certainly with the experience now of building it, I would say it doesn't need it. Next up we have this body part. And this one's a bit more complex to put together because the center piece has 4 pins or clips that need to go into it. And these rotate out from the other pieces. So this was quite hard to kind of get together properly. But it's ingenious design for 3D print because of course this is one piece, it prints as one piece and you fold it up to create one structure that is incredible. And again, you don't need to glue this bit. And then listen to the satisfying click. So there we go. This is awesome. But it is a little bit of a pain in the ass to put together overall. I think getting those clips into the holes is not the easiest, but certainly once you do, it is brilliant. And I think you'll realize why these bits don't need any glue, but the rest of the construction does need glue. Have a listen to some more clicks. And that's 2 of our biggest parts now constructed. And this is where it starts to get more and more complicated until we get to the end. So of course we need a paint job for this. I've not gone for any Canon based paint job because I only have certain colors of paint. So I decided to go for silver and green along with some matte black as well for different areas. So right now I'm attaching a ramp, or actually no, this is, so the way this ship lands is on its back. So this is actually kind of a door that goes up, and there's another part that's actually the ramp. But when you look at this and you're putting it together, it feels like a ramp. And then we've got these bits that need to be put onto here. Now this is where I run into my first kind of issue putting this up and just building it, because I ended up putting glue in first, probably shouldn't have, and attempted to fit the parts. So there's one bit that squeezes in underneath a couple of pipes. I should have attempted to fix that in first because you don't need glue on that bit at all. The rest you do, but this bit you don't. So as you can see, I had a ton of issues getting this to go in. And it was only just a tiny bit off, but it would not go in at all, no matter how much pressure I was putting it. So I went ahead and installed the other 2 pieces. And as you can see, we have the emergency tool there ready to fix the bit that's being stubborn. So I went and had to absolutely hammer it. And you can see how much effort that actually took to go in, but it's certainly not coming out. Then we have this piece here, which does have some support designed by the original designer that you need to break off. And once that's broken off and cleaned up, you can go ahead and then just simply install this. And when I say simply, this one was difficult because that structure there, the green piece, is very fragile. It's got a lot of thin parts. And you can see the effort you need to use to get that to clip in. It was tough to do that without snapping the green piece in half. Now we have these silver inserts that need to go into the side here. And these also have bits that go inside them, but don't put these in yet. So place the silver, well, what I've painted is silver in here. It's one clip and a little bit of glue to hold this in, and that will give you a really good structure to then work on from here. So it's back to the other piece of the main body, and what we're going to do now is attach the ramp. So this is actually a piece that can rotate and move down, but my god, it's tight. If I had cleaned this up beforehand, maybe shaved it down a little bit in size, I think it would have worked better. But I'm kind of happy. I'm not planning to put the ramp out and stuff like that. You've also got a piece on the back here that you want to attach. And that's us done with the 2 main sections with their kind of pieces on them. And that means you can go ahead and start attaching this together. And you definitely don't need glue for this bit for sure. Listen to how tightly this all comes together. Super crunchy and incredible. So yeah, that is the main body of the overall craft. And this is now becoming a bit of a solid mass, which is nice. Much easier to work with now. So that's it, all clicked together. And yeah, it's in there solid. You do not need any glue for that. So really impressive work by the original designer on that for sure. Now let's move on to the more complex bit. So we've got a hinge system in here. Now look at that silver piece. You'll notice obviously the pegs are up right now and we've got kind of a cylinder between them. Watch how this all goes together. It is just incredible. So first of all, it's recommended from the original designer's instructional video to put a little bit of glue on those tabs there and then put them into these parts. And then this is going to be rotated and placed into the actual section, and it's just going to be amazing how this actually operates. So yeah, letting the glue set, and then it's a pretty simple thing where you flip over and you have those two holes there where you can place in the actual sections, and this is actually what's going to control the wings. So the wings are fully articulated with this. Now I think if I remember right, I actually put these in the wrong way around and I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't look quite right. So pulled them out, chucked them in the other way around and got it sorted. But yeah, a little bit of glue in there as well. I don't know if you need to glue it, it will click in pretty well. But you can see here, I'm like, that doesn't seem to be going in. And I'm like, oh yeah, wrong way around. So switch it around and have a listen to this. So yeah, clicks in beautifully, but not just that. It now rotates as one cylinder. It's so cool because obviously it's a bunch of bits rotating into position to then be able to rotate together. Incredible. Now quickly I decided at this point to install the cockpit, as this just seemed like a good idea at this point. And then we're on to the back. So we've got a lot to do on the back. We've got all these pieces and there's a lot of stuff here and it all clicks in nicely. And you've also got a top section and a middle section as well to add to that. And again, these all click in really lovely. And again, coming back to the complexity of this, it is a real complex build. I would recommend using as little glue as possible because it's very easy to mess up and add something to the wrong side. And either watch the instructional video from the original designer of this or watch this one and go through it, because I am hopefully going to at least highlight a few places where you can really mess up, and I'm hoping you will avoid that when you go to build this, because it's terrible to obviously potentially put someone in the wrong place with this. Now we're adding all this stuff, which is just the first section of stuff that's getting added to the back. So there's tons. So yeah, these just get glued into place on those little tabs. And once they're glued in, they're pretty good and solid in there. And then we have some other sections here. We've got, first of all, the paint job I've used here, of course, not the official Boba Fett paint job or anything like that. I used what colors I had and what I thought might look good. So you can paint up as you wish, or of course use filament in the right colors. And yeah, went ahead and just tried to add as much texture to this with the colors used in the paint. Used a couple of different silvers as well, just to give it a bit of variance. But yeah, this adds on all these real intricate, really cool stuff that beautifully fits together. And once it's all glued in place, it looks sensational. Like I say, this is just the first stuff getting added on. There's actually more to add onto the back of this vessel later, but we're doing it right now. We've also got this piece that folds up from one piece into a kind of satellite dish shaped. Now, is this a satellite dish or is this the actual sonic bomb that they have at the back? I can't remember where it comes out of. I think it's just a dish. I think it is some sort of like comms thing or something. So you can see it just kind of fits in there, and a little bit of glue and you're going to be beautiful. So yeah, look at that. It's already looking insane and we're not done. The intricate detail to it is just really freaking good. It's lovely. So yeah, you can see, and that bit down the bottom there, that's where I decided not to add the additional piece that could have went there, because I think it actually just makes it a bit more boring and it's just a very flat piece. So the next bunch of stuff we're going to add on are these. So we got about 6 or so pieces that are going to be added on here. And the top bits don't have any tabs, but they fit into their little slots so snugly that they're pretty perfect. The ones down the bottom do actually have tabs that you can put them into. So yeah, incredible. And adds just yet again more kind of detail to the back, flushes it out, and you can get real detail with the paint job back here if you wanted to really paint in like individual pipes and stuff like that. So as you can see, gluing everything up, and yeah, all looking incredible. Beautiful build. This was, when I was first printing this off, I was thinking, oh my god, this thing is going to take a lot of printing time. I was thinking it's going to take a lot of putting together time. and I could easily mess it up. Anyway, on to messing it up. Now we're going to talk about the wings. Now at this point you've built 90% of this craft, and you could easily mess up putting these on the wrong way around at this point, because it uses this little T-junction, but you could easily put the wrong side on here. So make sure when you put this in that you've got the bigger part of the wing aiming upwards towards where the cockpit is, and that way you've got it around the right way. You can easily put the wrong side on here and then you end up with the wrong wing orientation. So make sure you got this the right way around. Then it's just a matter of building this bit by bit. So we've first of all got this wedge piece which goes in underneath. There's a little tab that it sits in, and then you let that set in there. And then what you've got is an arm, and be careful with the next part, which needs to be able to move freely. So it can be glued up into that section it's being pushed into, but the actual circle part that's going on like a cover over an axle needs to remain unglued so that it's able to rotate later. Then you have this piece that gets added on, and again you got to make sure this is the correct side, otherwise you might end up with the wrong part on the wrong side. And you want the bit that's got a hole for the clip to go into later pointing outwards towards where the cockpit is also pointing. Then you've got this bit. This folds over, but you have to make sure that the actual pieces line up really well when you glue them up, because otherwise they will not clip in correctly. So again, take your time with this and be vigilant on what you're doing. I'll also show you a second option of how to assemble this in the other wing when we put it together, just to give you another kind of way to do it. Because at this point it is quite fragile to play around with in all these bits. But yeah, let's get this glued up and then we'll move on to the next section. So once this is glued up, it's a real simple squeeze and click into here. Now, what I will say is this took a bit of force and was very hard when it was already attached to the actual object itself. So you do get a nice click once it goes in, but it's a bit of a struggle to begin with, for sure. And especially how well you've actually glued it up. I guess technically you don't have to glue it up as well, the actual clip would hold it all together. So you can see here we've got ourselves a wing, but it's not entirely complete. We've actually got these bits on the back to add on, and you've got to make sure you get the right sides that are going to be gluing up here, because you could easily stick something in the wrong place here. So make sure you are putting the right pieces in the right location. And these are the least held on parts. They've got basically one little bit where they're going to get glued on, but they do have these supports already built into their side that lets it kind of sit on it quite well. And again, you've got another tiny bit here where this one glues on. And yet again, not a huge amount of overall, compared to the rest of the stuff that like clicks together like crazy solid. These are the weakest parts. And then we've got the top side. We've got this part here. And be noted when putting this together, you do need to rotate the wing just a little bit so that this will fit on correctly. So make sure you rotate that just a touch. And then you've got yourself your perfect little wing for your Boba Fett ship here. And yeah, ends up looking real good. Again, this is also, although it clicks in really solid, it does wiggle a little bit. And again, we're able to move that. So yeah, beautiful. Now, this is the alternative version, which I've speeded up, which is actually to assemble the wing before you go ahead and glue it on. That way, hopefully, it's a little bit easier to put, because otherwise you're kind of struggling with the actual thing when you're squeezing stuff together and figuring it all out. So at this point, you can see putting the supports on here, getting that all built up as normal, but then the actual wing is fully done. The only problem is that black piece is a little bit in the way. So I actually took that off, then put it together, and that worked out quite well. So this is the second option, I think, on how you can put this together quite well without too much hassle. And yeah, both ways work, but one may be better for you. And here is our guns as well. So these are just press-in guns. Real struggle to get these in, but once they go in, they're great. And they do have little covers as well, but I lost one. So I think I printed it all off, and I lost one of these. So the great thing is, because it's a Star Wars ship, I didn't want to make it symmetrical, so I was quite happy to put one on. And even if I do find the other piece, I don't think I'll actually add it on. I'll keep it actually off. So we're almost done. We have one big piece left, and this is a decision on what you want it to look like for the overall design. So here it is, looking amazing before we add the final piece on. And the wings themselves are just incredible. They rotate, they look amazing. Yeah. And of course, rotating one of them rotates the other one, because that beautiful design work that was in there for the axle. So cool. And amazing what you can get away with 3D stuff. So as you can see here, that's where the people would go in and out of the vessel, and that ramp would come down normally. But on this one, it ain't budging. It's in there tight as can be. But yeah, looks amazing. Beautiful ship. So let's add the final piece to this. Now, what you can do with this last piece is print it off transparent, print it off solid, and maybe gloss it up or something like that. But it is the cockpit. So I've decided to go with transparent material here. But you could easily do this in black and then give it like a gloss paint or something like that. It would look equally as good. But yeah, and the cockpit's also removable. If you don't use any glue, you can just take that glass off, replace it, look at the cockpit inside, do whatever you want to do. So yeah, beautiful in the back and stunning. Look at it. My God, incredible.